If there's one thing we know about Donald Trump, it's that he craves being in the spotlight. He will do anything to be the center of attention and will throw a temper tantrum when someone else takes his place. So perhaps it comes as no surprise that he waged his latest racist attack yesterday against his much younger and far more interesting Democratic opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, questioning her race, specifically among a group of black journalists. Beyond showing his utter desperation in the face of a challenger who is galvanizing voters to keep him far away from ever entering the Oval Office ever again, it is putting on display how his little vaudeville act from America's ugly past is just wearing thin. Where his campaign is centered on rage and anger, Harris's is optimistic and full of energy. Last night, Vice President Harris responded to Trump's desperate attacks, declaring that the American people deserve better.
It was the same old show. The divisiveness and the disrespect. And let me just say, the American people deserve better. The American people deserve a leader who tells the truth, a leader who does not respond with hostility and anger when confronted with the facts. We deserve a leader who understands that our differences do not divide us. They are an essential source of our strength.
And today, the DNC began its virtual roll call vote to formally nominate Kamala Harris for president. Harris's official nomination will be made Monday when the vote closes, coming exactly 2 weeks ahead of the start of the Democratic National Convention right here in Chicago. Joining me now is Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas and Matthew Dowd, former Republican strategist and MSNBC senior political analyst. Congresswoman, I want to start with you because what a difference a couple of weeks makes. You know, I mean, Democrats seemed divided and in disarray over what would happen with President Biden. And it seems like 3 months ago, but it was actually like 2 weeks ago. But were you personally surprised at how quickly the party and also young folks, TikTokers, you name it, consolidated in a really kind of like euphoria around Vice President Harris?
I actually really was surprised, but I'm thankful because I know how amazing of a person our vice president is, not just when it comes to being a politician, but she's just a good person. And so it could not happen to anyone better than the vice president. So I've been really excited to see it. I think that there had been this idea that Democrats had just kind of checked out. And it wasn't so much that. I think that they just were looking for that fire to be lit. And as someone who is known as being a fighter, I think that they love that she is pushing back and she's pushing back hard, because for so long people kept trying to say the Democrats were weak. But right now, the only person that looks weak is Trump. He doesn't have an answer for the vice president. And all he wants to do is talk about her behind her back. But as she stated in Atlanta this week, if he's got something to say it to her face. And, well, we'll just see if he absolutely decides that he's still going to skip out on that debate, or if he's actually going to, join her on stage.
Yeah, because she's going to be there, Matthew Dowd. She's going regardless, and it may just be a town hall with the vice president. But to that very point, I mean, Republicans are starting to, it seems, freak out a little bit. This is some reporting from Politico Playbook. They're saying, just ask Hill Republicans who are privately freaking out over Trump's latest broadsides. We spent last night working the phones calling Republicans, and we can tell you this morning that virtually every Republican we spoke with is flat out distraught by what they perceived as a self-inflicted wound, not only for Trump, but for Republicans down the ballot. They're saying that he seems to have botched his reset that Republicans were hoping that he'd implement this week. There's signs that Republican confidence in Trump is now slipping. The Trump camp launched new ads today in North Carolina, a state that once voted for that has only once voted for a Democratic candidate, only once in the last 40 years. And guess who that was? Barack Obama, who won the state of North Carolina in 2008. And this feels like a 2008 moment, Matthew.
Well, I think it feels like a combination of both 2008 and 2012, actually. If you think about it as a combination, I think the media has made a mistake to look back at 2020 at 2020 and somehow thinks that's what it's replicating. It's not. There's much more enthusiasm, much more likelihood of high turnout among Democrats this time than actually in 2020 in this. And so when we think about this race, I think we have to think about those two Barack Obama elections. And that's where I think it is. And that's why I believe North Carolina is absolutely a swing state in this election in the course of this. And it's interesting to me that the only swing state that's been added to the other ones is one that was red before. There's been no blue states added to the swing state column in this. To me, what's evidenced in this whole effort in the last 2 weeks, and then especially the last 24 hours, is how far out of sync Donald Trump and the Republicans are for where America is. They don't seem to understand that America already is a multicultural society, that America is already a multiracial society. We're already there. That's us. That's who we are. Look at the panel tonight, Democrats, Republicans, black, white, men, women. That's who we are. And they don't seem to understand, or maybe they do understand it, and for some reason they don't like it, and they want us to somehow go back to 1952 or whatever. And in my view, Donald Trump is the most racially divisive, hate-filled person that ran for president since George Wallace. Wallace.
Very clearly.
He is our George Wallace.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a generational issue too. And you are a perfect person to speak to this, Jasmine, because you're a young congresswoman. There's almost as if Donald Trump is stuck in like the 80s or even maybe the 60s or 50s, because for younger people, if you're under 50, if you're a Gen Xer, like my generation, like you're so used to multiracial people, it's just not a thing. Look how many millennials who do have kids have multiracial kids. How many white Americans are married to non-white Americans? So, Donald Trump's vice presidential candidate running mate is married to a non-white person. And he's awkward even in defending her. They seem so retro. And even their celebrities are like Hulk Hogan. Kid Rock. Whereas your girl, Megan Thee Stallion, is who's coming out for Kamala Harris. It's almost like it's sort of this, they don't even seem to be in this century is what I'm saying.
No, I think a central part of this campaign is that we're not going back, right? Like you have heard the vice president say that over and over and over. Matthew Dowd just repeated it. So obviously it is starting to get somewhere. That's what you want people to do, is you want them to have a theme that catches fire and they can repeat. Because when we look at the policies that are coming out from the Republicans, when we look at Project 2025, when we look at the Supreme Court, that is basically Trump's Supreme Court, everything is about taking us back to a dark part of our history. And what we're saying, especially our vice president, as a Black woman, for those that don't know, she's Black, as a Black woman who's saying we won't go back because we honor those that bled, died, and risked their lives for us to make sure that we move this country forward. We just saw the president down in Austin, Texas this week. And what was he doing? He was commemorating the work of a great Texan, LBJ. And so we want to move this country forward. And that's the option that you get with a Kamala Harris. Yeah. Or you can go back to the 1960s where they've got the likes of Byron Donalds glorifying the Jim Crow era as he's married to a white woman that he wouldn't have been allowed to get married to.
But very quickly, we have to go to break, but just to show you just policy-wise, President Biden just added another 25 million borrowers for student loan debt relief. That is a forward-looking policy. Senate Republicans had the opportunity to extend the child tax cut. They're obsessed with people having babies. They voted it down. Only the Democrats voted in favor of it, and of course, Bernie Sanders. Only 3 Republicans voted for it. This is a problem. It's a retro policy. Okay, don't go anywhere. We're keeping both of these great guests. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, Matthew Dowd are going to stick with us for much more on these despicable attacks against Vice President Harris and how they are straight out of the racist playbook used against President Obama in 2008. And George Wallace, too. I think that was also accurate.